Action, take two.
Welcome to an Intentional Marriage Podcast. We are your hosts, Kristen and Chad Cottingham. We are here to discuss all things marriage because why, honey?
Great marriages don't just happen.
You have to be intentional.
Just being honest here, we had to do a take two because Kristen started off with her hello and started choking and gagging. So, my technical difficulties with us.
Yes. Well, it's okay.
It's okay.
We just roll with it and
roll with it.
Keep going.
So you got to keep going. That's what you do. But Kristen, I want to roll back real quick into last week. I really liked last week's topic, and I hope some of you guys did too, on annoyances. How we annoy each other and how those can get in the way and affect our marriage. Man, we had a great time, a lot of laughs. Hopefully some of you out there had some great conversations. Maybe some of you not so much.
We did hear from a few that this topic brought up some heated emotions.
They were taking a road trip back home and they started talking about their annoyances and they couldn't get away because they had 4 hours left on their trip. And
that was funny.
It was actually good.
Right.
But it was funny. It was funny. But Kristen, those annoyances, when we talked about yesterday, is going to lead into our topic today. Last week, last time, whatever it was. What are we talking about today?
Well, we are talking about the power of a sincere apology. And because there's a difference in annoying your spouse and hurting your spouse. You know, like we talked about some silly...
So I don't have to apologize if I annoy you?
Well, there's levels of apologies and and differences in sincerity because I just saw sitting here on the table as we are talking a toothpick. That is another one of my little annoyances.
Hey, we had to cover that.
These little toothpicks everywhere. Now, I don't. And one time, it fell on the carpet and I stepped on it. But here's the thing: that doesn't require a sincere apology. I mean, that's just a little annoyance. But we did.
Can I interrupt here?
Okay.
Can I tell a story?
Yes.
I'm sorry, story. It's got nothing to do with marriage.
Oh, okay.
No, so. Maybe you out there know, I got into pickleball quite a bit the last 3-4 years. I've really taken that up and really enjoying that. And one thing we do a lot in pickleball is you are actually aiming at the other person, at the opponent. And hopefully they're good enough and they're defending the hit. But there's times we call body bag a person. That ball hits them. And normally if you hit somebody, it's courtesy to kind of raise your hand, sorry. But you kind of say sorry, but you're really not sorry. Because you just got the point, or you just got the serve. And so it's kind of a sorry, not sorry. And a lot of times if you hit it and it hits the net and just dribbles over and they couldn't get it, sorry. But again, sorry, not sorry. So we use that a lot in pickleball. We say sorry, but I'm never really sorry. And if I go back to the annoyances, I know I've said sorry a lot of times for annoying things like toothpicks and have not really been sorry.
Well, let me just add my 2 cents to the story you just told. And if you hit me, you will end up in a body bag. That's all I can think of when you were saying that.
Man.
But no, with pickleball and in life, we do hit our spouse at times with our words or our actions that leave welts. I've played pickleball with you. You have hit me a time or two.
No.
And left the welt on my arm or on my thigh. And yeah, you have done that. Sorry. Now, this is kind of like an inside joke with us because that is an annoyance for me. Where does that come from? You say that. You'll say, sorry.
Well, we're big Seinfeld junkies. We're big fans. And one of the episodes, some guy steps on Elaine's foot and he gives this kind of sarcastic, sorry.
Yes. That annoys me when you say that.
So there's times I do something to bug you and I just could do one of those sorries and you're just like, shut up. I hate that worse than what you just did. So I can push some buttons sometimes.
Yes. And sorry, not sorry is a button pusher for anybody because really it's not a sincere apology. And like I said, there's a difference in annoying your spouse and actually hurting your spouse. Annoyances, yes, are like, hey, I'm sorry I did that, and you just kind of move on. But when there's a real hurt or a real rift or a real rupture in your relationship, that requires an honest, proper, sincere apology.
It does. And we're going to jump into that because this is some really good stuff as we're going to talk about. But I do want to go back to these annoyances because I don't want our audience to think you don't really have to apologize when you're annoying. And you don't have to, I'm really not sorry, because I don't want to do things that annoy you. I want to work at it. And if I have done something where I see sometimes you've done something to annoy me, I got irritated. I got short. I treated you disrespectfully because you annoyed me. That wasn't you. That was me.
Right.
That's still a sincere apology. I may not have to go into depth like I know we're going to talk about, but I still owe you an apology. And really the bottom line is I don't want to just keep saying sorry every time. I want to change that behavior.
Right. That's the key.
Yeah. The key is I don't want those things to annoy me. We kind of talked about that last week. Or if I do something else, my apology, I want to have a changed behavior. When I don't want to change behavior, then I'm really not sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. But the goal is I don't want to hurt you, Kristen. I don't want to annoy you. I want to be there for you and love you and be intentional in a good way. And then when I'm not, I hopefully am sorry and want to be sorry and correct that.
Well, like you said, the true proof in what sorry a proper apology looks like is that changed behavior, because ultimately that's the goal. You don't want to repeat that behavior, like you just said. I also think that annoyances, yes, while they might be minor, they can lead to eruptions. They can build up and, like you said, cause us to lose our or lash out in anger and lose our cool. Yes, exactly. So yeah, apology is a huge tool though, and that every marriage needs in their toolbox. I look at it as like just as essential as a hammer or a screwdriver that you would have in your, home toolbox. This is.
You said you're going to hammer me if I don't apologize?
No, I'm just saying this is a necessary tool. What?
Kristen, you're right. This isn't just necessary. This is necessary for anybody in a dating, married relationship. You're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
You're going to say something, do something, forget something that you have to apologize for.
Oh, I know something I wanted to just say a few minutes ago was that these annoyances, yes, they can lead to eruptions if they build up over time. And so a key, like we had mentioned before, I was always a good one to say, you always, you never. You always do this. You never do this. Yes, it might be something minor, like we've referred to before, leaving your underwear, not loading the dishwasher, whatever. But if I am constantly saying, you never do this, you always do this, that's kind of an indicator that these annoyances have kind of built, have gained momentum in the area of my heart that's starting to build resentment, and that can lead to bitterness, and that's what leads to these eruptions.
Well, and it wasn't just an eruption for you. It would be an eruption for me because I'm glad you said that, because you would use that. You always do this or you never do that.
Right.
And I was somebody that I was always open to changing my behavior, working on things, getting better. And so I may put my underwear in the thing 6 out of 7 times. And then
maybe 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay. But that time I forgot. I was in a rush. Something happened. I woke up late. I was just going. Now all of a sudden I would get this eruption. You always do this. You never can. And now I'm saying, now I'm fighting back at you. So these annoyances can lead to eruptions through you always, you never. And now I'm getting defensive because I was trying. And so all of a sudden over little things we're fighting, where now we both need some
repair work here. Yes, because eruptions lead to ruptures in your relationship. And so I think it is important to understand the mechanics of a sincere and proper apology, because we've all experienced that sorry or sorry, but that just doesn't land well on the recipient.
It doesn't. And before, again, we keep pushing this off because it's so good and we're going to get to it. But Kristen, you used always and never.
Okay.
And what I did, my defense mechanism, I would make excuses or I would blame shift. I was like, well, if you would have done that, if you wouldn't have said that, I wouldn't have acted this. Or I'd start making excuses. Now, they may have been a valid excuse. I may have had to get to work early. I did wake up late. They're excuses, But if I would have apologized first, hon, I'm so sorry. I should have picked that up. You're right. And then kind of given my excuse. But too often, I would start making excuses for what I said or did.
Right.
Or I would blame shift and turn around and make it your fault
Yes.
for my behavior. So here you were always and never. Here I was blame shifting, making
Yes.
excuses. And you talk about some confrontation.
Whew, that was a bad mix.
It was bad. We were hurting each other then.
Well, and here's the thing too: when you were making excuses, the excuses in your, I would say they were excuses, and from your perspective, you would say, "Well, I'm just explaining what happened." And that is true. You were giving context as to why the situation happened the way it did. But the key is the apology has to come before the explanation
Yes.
or AKA excuses, because I'm not hearing anything you say until you validate where I am coming from. Like, I am hurt.
Right, you're right. And I had to learn that because, Kristen, when I was doing that, I was trying to let you know I wasn't intentionally
Right.
trying to hurt you or upset you or forget something. I was trying to explain it away like that would make a difference. I still did. I wasn't taking into account your feelings.
Right.
I was trying to just explain my behavior, actions first.
Well, and I think of just a simple phrase, emotions before logic. You have to address the emotion first before you can get to the facts, because there's like a psychological or physiological reaction in our bodies. Like, we have to come back into a regulated state of emotions before we can hear any sort of logic or reason.
Yeah.
And so that's where, like, we've kind of led into this, the proper mechanics and the way we go about apologizing is so important. And so let's talk about the 4 R's of a proper apology. And I say R's because it's easier.
Steps.
4 steps or 4 elements, and they all start with R's. So that's why I remember them. But we've talked about this. They don't have to necessarily be in this certain order, but all of these components need to be somewhere in your presentation in order for the repair to be made and a sincere apology to be extended and reconciliation for that. That's the end goal.
Yeah. And so what are those, Kristen? Can you kind of give us what those are, a brief scenario, and then maybe we can talk through, because I can think of, I had a story here recently.
Yes.
So why don't you share what
All right,
those are?
so the first R is take responsibility. And this means you are going to own the action and feeling it caused. And we'll come back to that. I'll list them all out. The second one is express regret. This is where the sincerity comes in. Like, I feel badly that I hurt you. The third one is offer repair. How can I make this better? And then the fourth one is make the request, asking, will you forgive me? So those are the 4 R's, but let's take them step by step and really show what this looks like using the example that happened this week.
As you said those things to me, and maybe there's other listeners out there, I always felt like if I just said, hey, I'm sorry, that was enough. I always thought, hey, I said I was sorry. I didn't realize that when I hurt you in a way, like I'm going to share with you, I needed to go a little deeper. And I don't think many people realize that. So I think that's why we're getting here.
That sounds just like a flimsy, I'm trying to get off the hook statement to be honest.
And
like, hey, I said I was sorry. It's your problem. Get over it.
Right. And many times I was.
Right.
And then I would try and blame you. I said, oh, sorry.
Exactly.
This is your issue, not mine.
And what that's doing is it's now compounding the issue because you're completely dismissing and invalidating the hurt feelings. And so let's share about the situation.
We were with some couples last week and talking, and Kristen starts sharing a story, and she's very detailed and very good at telling stories, and she's very animated and expressive and just gets into it. And as she's going into it, and as she's talking, she's probably 2/3 of the way there. And in my mind, I'm thinking, it's not going anywhere. I'm detailed, like get to the point, bullet points. Give me only the detailed the highlighted information. I can fill in the rest. And as she's talking, I said, long story short. And she looked at me, and if if eye looks and glances could if she could shoot lasers out of her eyes, she'd have melted me and zapped
If
me.
I had a body bag, you would have been going home
If
in
she
it.
had a hammer, I'd have got pounded with it. And I was like,
Boy, we're sounding like we're a little aggressive.
I was like, oh crap.
But
what did I knew I shouldn't have said it. It blurted out of my mouth. I could see right away I hurt you. I shouldn't have done that. I made you feel disrespected. And probably many other things. And I was like, oh crap. And a good thing I was across from you and you couldn't reach me or kick me and not right by, or I might have got the elbow or squeezing my leg like I've gotten many times.
Which that was a hurt to me. That hurt me.
I hurt you. I hurt you.
And that bothered me, and it took the wind out of my sails. And so what happened was we got in the car. And I knew that you knew, and we knew, but in order for this to repair, for my feelings to get validated, and for us to feel connected again, we had to go through these 4 steps, because there would have been times in the past where we would have gotten in the car, I would have either blown up, don't you ever, do that to me again, which I might have said that, but... Or I was really good at giving the silent treatment, and I would have expected you to, to kiss my feet.
Most of the time, in the past, you would shut down.
So here's what I want to bring up and highlight here is we also have a little motto that says we are 100% responsible to communicate our needs and feelings. We talked about that in the mind reading episode because our spouse doesn't know what we're thinking. Now, in this case, you did know what I was thinking, but it is my responsibility to say, I feel when I need. So we got in that car, even though I knew you knew and you knew I knew, I said, I feel so disrespected and so hurt and so dismissed when you cut me off like that and you make me feel like what I'm saying is not important, and I need you to never, ever, ever, never do that again. And then this is when I pitched the ball to you, and you came back with the first step.
And I did. But when you were saying that to me, it hurt me knowing I hurt you. And knowing that, why did I say that? That was stupid. And so here I am, my best friend, my lover, my wife. I just put a dagger in you, and I knew it, and it hurt me knowing I hurt you. So I wanted to make it right. I didn't think you'd even accept my apology.
Gosh, what do you think of me?
Because I thought I hurt you. I know over time you would. But that's how far I think you've come, because I think in the past
we quickly repaired it. Yes.
But we went and repaired it right then. I didn't try and make excuses.
We didn't come home in the silent treatment. I didn't go get in the bathtub. We didn't go to bed mad like we would have in the past. That's why I'm so passionate about this topic, because we have done the work and we have seen. But I also want to.
So what was? Go ahead.
We've also seen the benefits of using these 4 steps.
So what did I do? So explain, because I don't know if I went through it in any order, but I did these things.
Yes.
You felt.
Yes, you did have all of the elements of the proper apology. And what was I going to say? But back to you. It shows you've come a long way because it did hurt you to hurt me. And you didn't immediately go into defense mode. You didn't immediately blame shift. You didn't make it that it was my fault. It was like you did step number 1. You took responsibility. Which means you are going to own the action.
What did I say? Once you said that, what did I say?
Okay, you own the action and the feeling it caused. That's the important part. So you said, I am so sorry that I cut you off, and I know that was so disrespectful of me, and I know that hurt your feelings, and it made you feel dismissed and disrespected. I'm not saying it verbatim, but you did express that.
I tried to validate and give sincerity in my conversation, and I said, will you forgive me? And then, or before I said, will you forgive me, I said, is there anything you need, anything I need to do or can do to repair this? Because I wanted to put that out there as well.
Right.
And that's, I think, where you said, don't ever do that again.
Right.
And then I said, will you forgive me?
Well, yeah, so I want to just jump back a little bit to so the step 1 is take responsibility. Own the action and the feeling it caused. So yes, you did that. The second one is express regret, and which is the sincerity piece. you're just saying how badly it made you feel that you hurt me.
'Cause I hurt you.
Yes. And so the express regret, sincerity piece, I feel so bad. And then the third one is that offer repair. What can I do to make this better? Or what do you need from me? Again, it's all of this is validating my hurt feelings, and it's taking responsibility on your part. So we're moving down the path, and I'm feeling validated. I am kind of coming down. I'm taking some deep breaths. I'm getting back, regulated. And in that case, all I did was I needed your word to say, I will not do that again. I am, the sincerity piece. But then it is important, and we've talked about this before, to actually make that request. Say those words, will you forgive me? Because what that does is it's empowering the hurt spouse to make the choice to forgive or not. And because forgiveness is a choice, it doesn't mean automatic reconciliation just because sorry or I didn't mean to. That has to be extended to the other person. And so when you said, will you forgive me? That put the ball in my court to make the choice. I could choose to forgive you or I could choose not to, because then it becomes my responsibility. So you took responsibility for your actions, but now it's back on me. Am I going to make this choice? And so I said, yes, I do forgive you and thank you. And that was it. That was the end. And we were repaired before our 20-minute drive home.
And I'm going to be honest, I was very surprised because it was different, because we got home and you went and took your tub, your normal tub, and I was watching ball games or whatever it was, and text you, are you okay? You said, yeah, I'm great. I'm done. And you never brought it up again.
Right.
We never really talked again. Where sometimes you were still stewing and you were still mad, and it was going to keep going maybe for a couple days.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because the power of apology, it really is like throwing a wet blanket on the fire of bitterness in my heart or resentment, because that apology just, it takes that resentment, that anger, that's festering in me, because now I feel validated. I feel like, okay, I know you did what you did was wrong. You took ownership for it. You made it right with me, and my feelings are back validated, and that means our connection is reestablished.
Yeah, and it was a perfect example because we knew this was our topic, and then this happened this week. So, guys, this stuff is still real. You're still going to be living these things. So, hopefully, we're giving you some of these tools that you can apply and relate to in your marriage, because we're gonna continue. I hope I've never ever hurt you again, never have to say sorry again. That's our intention. But knowing that there's times I will.
Right.
Hopefully unintentionally, never intentionally, but being able to ask for that forgiveness, say I'm sorry, and truly mean it. And when you truly say this, and there's a true, sincere apology, you didn't come back with, well, you always interrupt me like that, and you never trust me to say something. You could have easily done that, and now we're in a fight. And now, well, if you knew how to share a story, now I'm blame shifting. So a lot of times that's what happens with couples and marriages. There's not a true reconciliation. There's not a true forgiveness. Thank you. And all of a sudden, we go back to what we know. Making excuses, blame shifting. Well, you always do that. You never trust me. And whoa, we're in this crazy cycle of angst and fighting and
Well, that's why these 4 components are so important, because you can't have reconciliation if you're not taking responsibility, you're not sincerely expressing regret, you're not offering to repair, and you're not making that request, will you forgive me? And that is the pathway back to reconciliation, restoration of our connection. And it really, like I said, it took us a long time to figure this out, but once you kind of understand it and you get the hang of it, it really does work.
It does. It really does. And, I just think, Kristen, as you're talking, and I know we've kind of said at the beginning, there are like different levels of apology and seeking forgiveness. Like we mentioned, annoyances, those probably don't need to be in the depth of this.
Right.
I hurt you this
Yes.
week. I didn't want to hurt you. So in your marriage, you're going to be trying to figure this out. You don't need to be sitting down and having a
Right.
dissertation over I forgot to do the dishes and I told you I would. But there's still an apology.
And it still requires that responsibility piece. I feel like that's the biggest one.
Yes.
Is just owning up to the action and the feeling it caused. So like I asked you to put the dishes in the dishwasher because my back was hurting or whatever, and I woke up the next morning and they're not, and they're just sitting there, and I just said, or I would come to you and say, hey, I thought you said you were going to do this. You're not going to go through this 4-step apology. No. You're just going to take responsibility and say, oh, you know what? You're right. I did. I just got so tired. I fell asleep on the couch. I'm so sorry. I got tired. I fell asleep. I'll get to him right away. That's a simple, quick, but it still has that component of responsibility. Not like, oh well, get over it. You make mistakes too. Sorry, not sorry. That's not going to fly. But taking responsibility I feel like is the biggest piece, and then moving on from there. So
yeah. And one thing, Kristen, when I think of this week is there weren't eruptions for either one of us, and I think in the past, anything we did wrong, it was eruption on one of us or both of us.
Right.
And this was something that was hurtful, something I did wrong, and it could be you next time we're sitting here.
Sure.
You were able to express your feelings. You shared them. You were hurt. I was able to give a sincere apology. Or in the past, you're either blowing up, I'm blowing up.
Or I'm stonewalling, I'm going into the silent treatment.
Treatment, I'm sleeping on the couch. And so these are things, again, we want to just encourage you. Make apologies and saying sorry a normal part.
Yes.
And be the first to apologize, because too often you're stonewalling each other and I'm not apologizing until she does. This is your marriage. This is the one you love. Step into that. Be intentional.
Right.
Say you're sorry. Be sincere about it. Make those changes. Not in a way that, well, she's just controlling me. Make changes because most of you guys, you need to do some improving.
Oh boy, that's a strong statement.
We do.
Are you speaking on behalf of all men?
I'm speaking on behalf of all men. We can do better.
Okay.
We can. And you guys can do better as well. Because too often I think ladies may scream and yell to think they have to be heard. And so if I'm not raising my voice, he never changes, never does anything. So...
Well, I'm glad you just said that, because that does bring up a powerful reminder of why this is so important. Because the louder we get, it's because we really want you to hear like what we feel.
Right.
And so if you're just dismissing us,
the louder you're getting, I'm turning the volume down.
Right.
I'm listening less.
So that's when we bring in that powerful, sincere apology tool, and it dials down our level of, decibels of us trying to get our point across, because we just want to be heard. Like, hey, we're hurting over here.
I said, do you know why I never liked when you would scream and yell or start going higher and higher? You know what I was thinking?
You'd hear Charlie Brown's.
I was thinking you're disrespecting me, and now I feel disrespected. Now I'm not listening.
So it's emotions before logic. So
it is. And so that's why if we're not having these blow-ups, these confrontations over these hurts and annoyances, and we can talk and be mature about it and take time to do it, the healing and repair is so much quicker, so much more effective. But again, we've had to take years and years of learning this. And again, this may have been one of the really good 4-step apologies this week. And it's taken me 33 years.
Well, we are proof that it's never too late, and you can teach old dogs new tricks. So
a real old dog, a new trick. So.
Oh, goodness.
Wow.
Well, hey, you guys, hopefully this has helped, and you keep this in your top drawer of your toolbox, because we guarantee this is going to need to, you're going to need to pull out this tool whatever, but it is necessary.
One last lead with one more time.
All right, so we have take responsibility, own up to the action and feeling it's caused, express regret, make it sincere, you feel badly that you hurt your spouse, offer repair, what can I do to make this better, and make that request with the words, will you forgive me? Because that is what's going to, again, empower the hurt spouse to make that choice.
That's right.
And again, I wanted to say this, making that choice to forgive means we are not going to bring that back up, and we're not going to use this incident in a future argument.
Well, you know what I like too, if you're able to apologize sincerely, it's usually accounts for really good makeup sex afterwards.
Okay, all right. You know what, on that note, we will sign off for now and say thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, guys.
Make it a great marriage or not.
Be intentional.
Be intentional.
Okay, whatever. Have a great day.
Hi, guys.